Have you ever wondered why some women seem to effortlessly capture a man's attention, even when surrounded by countless other attractive options? The answer isn't what you might think. It's not about being the most beautiful, the smartest, or even the most successful woman in the room. Instead, it lies in understanding a profound psychological principle that Carl Jung discovered over a century ago. Today, we're diving deep into the fascinating world of Jungian psychology to uncover the one thing you can do that will make any man choose you over everyone else. This isn't about manipulation or playing games. This is about tapping into something far more powerful: the ancient psychological patterns that govern human attraction and connection. Before we continue, if you're ready to unlock the secrets of your feminine power through psychology, make sure to subscribe to our channel and hit that notification bell. We explore the depths of human psychology every week, giving you tools that can transform your relationships forever. Carl Jung, the legendary Swiss psychiatrist, spent his life studying the human psyche. He discovered that beneath our conscious minds lie powerful archetypal patterns that influence every aspect of our behavior, especially in relationships. Jung identified that men and women carry within them complementary psychological energies that, when properly understood and activated, create an irresistible magnetic pull. The secret lies in understanding what Jung called the anima, the feminine aspect present in every man's unconscious mind. This anima represents his idealized image of femininity, shaped by his mother, his experiences, and the collective unconscious of humanity itself. When a woman can authentically embody and reflect this anima back to a man, something magical happens. She becomes not just another option among many, but the woman who speaks directly to his soul. But here's where most women get it wrong. They try to become what they think men want on a surface level: more attractive, more agreeable, more available. They miss the deeper psychological truth that Jung revealed. Men are drawn to women who can mirror their own inner completeness, who can help them access the feminine wisdom that lives within their own unconscious minds. This isn't about changing who you are or becoming someone else. It's about understanding and activating a natural psychological process that has been driving human attraction since the beginning of time. When you master this principle, you won't need to compete with other women, because you'll be operating on an entirely different level of connection. To truly grasp the power you hold as a woman, we need to dive deeper into Jung's concept of the anima. Every man carries within his unconscious mind a feminine counterpart, a psychological image that represents everything he associates with the feminine principle. This isn't just about romantic attraction. It's about his relationship with creativity, intuition, emotion, and the mysterious aspects of life itself. The anima manifests in 4 distinct stages throughout a man's psychological development. First, there's the Eve stage, representing pure biological attraction and the life force. Then comes the Helen stage, embodying romantic and aesthetic beauty. The third is the Mary stage, representing spiritual devotion and virtue. Finally, there's the Sophia stage, symbolizing transcendent wisdom and understanding. Most women unconsciously appeal to only 1 or 2 of these stages. They might embody the physical allure of Eve or the romantic charm of Helen, but they miss the deeper psychological layers that create lasting fascination. The woman who understands how to authentically express all 4 aspects of the anima becomes absolutely irresistible because she speaks to the fullness of his unconscious feminine ideal. Here's the crucial insight that changes everything. Men don't just want a woman who is attractive or pleasant. They crave a woman who can help them access their own inner wisdom, their own creative potential, their own emotional depth. When you can reflect back to a man his own anima, his inner feminine wisdom, you become essential to his psychological well-being. This is why some women can walk into a room and immediately capture the attention of every man present, regardless of conventional attractiveness. They've learned to embody the archetypal feminine in a way that resonates with the deepest layers of masculine psychology. They're not competing on the level of physical appearance or even personality traits. They're operating from the realm of the archetypal, where true power lies. But this isn't about acting or pretending to be something you're not. The anima archetypes exist within every woman already. Your task is to recognize them, understand them, and learn to express them authentically. When you do this, you're not manipulating anyone. You're simply revealing the fullness of your own feminine nature. The magic happens when a man encounters a woman who can embody his anima projection while simultaneously maintaining her own psychological independence. She becomes both the mirror of his inner feminine and a complete person in her own right. This creates a psychological tension that is absolutely magnetic. Now we come to perhaps the most powerful aspect of Jungian psychology in relationships: understanding the shadow. Jung discovered that everything we repress or deny about ourselves gets pushed into our unconscious mind, forming what he called the shadow self. This shadow contains not just our negative traits, but also our unrealized potential and hidden strengths. Here's where this becomes absolutely crucial for attraction. Men are unconsciously drawn to women who can help them integrate their shadow, both the dark aspects they've rejected and the golden qualities they've never allowed themselves to express. When you can do this for a man, you become psychologically indispensable to him. Before we dive into this, if you're still with me, please comment with the number 1 if these insights are resonating with you. Most women try to appeal to a man's conscious, socially acceptable self. They present themselves as the good girl who fits perfectly into his rational plans and social expectations. But this approach only engages the surface layer of his personality. The woman who truly captivates him is the one who can safely allow him to explore his forbidden territories, his wildness, his vulnerability, his creative chaos, his spiritual longings. This doesn't mean becoming his therapist or trying to fix him. Instead, it means creating a space where he feels safe to be more fully himself. When you can witness and accept both his light and his shadow without judgment, something profound happens in his psyche. You become associated with his own wholeness and self-acceptance. The golden key is this: embody your own integrated shadow while holding space for his. When you've done your own psychological work, when you've faced your own darkness and reclaimed your own disowned power, you naturally emanate an energy that gives others permission to do the same. This is magnetic beyond measure because most people spend their lives hiding from themselves. Think about the women throughout history who have been remembered as irresistibly fascinating: Cleopatra, Mata Hari, Frida Kahlo. What they all shared wasn't conventional beauty, but rather a fearless embrace of their own complexity. They weren't afraid of their own shadows, and this gave them the power to dance with the shadows of others. This is why the one thing that will make him choose you isn't a technique or a strategy. It's a state of being. It's the integration of your own psyche that allows you to hold space for the integration of his. When you can be simultaneously strong and vulnerable, mysterious and transparent, independent and connected, you embody the paradox that the masculine psyche craves. Men are unconsciously searching for a woman who can help them become whole. Not complete? They must be complete within themselves, but whole, meaning integrated with all aspects of their psyche. When you represent this possibility of wholeness, you become irreplaceable. The most powerful women in history understood something that modern dating advice completely misses: the art of psychological mirroring. This isn't about copying his behavior or agreeing with everything he says. True psychological mirroring is about reflecting back to him the parts of himself that he's forgotten, lost, or never fully developed. Jung discovered that we're all naturally drawn to people who carry the qualities we need to develop within ourselves. This is why opposites attract, not because differences create friction, but because we unconsciously recognize in others the missing pieces of our own psychological puzzle. When you can consciously embody the qualities that complete his psychological landscape, you become absolutely essential to his sense of wholeness. For most men, the missing pieces involve connection to their emotional depth, their intuitive wisdom, and their creative spirit. These aspects of themselves have often been suppressed through social conditioning that demands they be logical, strong, and emotionally controlled. When you can authentically express these qualities while remaining fully yourself, you give him permission to reclaim these lost parts of his own nature. But here's the crucial distinction. You're not becoming his missing pieces. You're showing him that these pieces exist within himself. The most magnetic women don't try to complete men, they inspire men to complete themselves. This creates a dynamic where he doesn't become dependent on you, but rather associates you with his own empowerment and growth. This is why the technique works even when he has countless other options. Other women might be trying to impress him, please him, or win him over through conventional attractiveness. But you're operating from a completely different paradigm. You're not competing for his attention. You're awakening his own dormant potential. This creates a bond that transcends physical attraction or compatibility and enters the realm of psychological necessity. The practice involves 3 key elements: authentic emotional expression, intuitive understanding, and creative spontaneity. When you can naturally embody these qualities, not as performance, but as genuine aspects of your own developed personality, you create a psychological resonance that most men have never experienced before. Think of it like this. While other women are offering themselves as prizes to be won, you're offering him the gift of his own completeness. While they're trying to fit into his existing life, you're expanding his sense of what's possible. While they're adapting to his current level of consciousness, you're inviting him to evolve. This approach requires tremendous self-knowledge and psychological maturity. You must be secure enough in your own identity that you can reflect his potential without losing yourself in the process. You must be emotionally intelligent enough to recognize what aspects of himself he's disconnected from, and wise enough to embody these qualities naturally rather than artificially. Now we arrive at the heart of what makes a woman truly irresistible, embodying the authentic feminine principle. Jung identified that the feminine principle represents receptivity, intuition, cyclical wisdom, and the ability to hold space for transformation. These aren't weaknesses disguised as strengths. They are profound powers that most women have been conditioned to suppress. The modern world often teaches women to succeed by adopting masculine strategies, competing, pushing, achieving, controlling. While these skills have their place, when you try to attract a man using purely masculine energy, you create psychological confusion. He doesn't need another competitor or another person trying to control the situation. What he craves, often without conscious awareness, is the experience of the authentic feminine. This is where most women lose their power. They think they need to chase, convince, or prove their worth. But the feminine principle operates through magnetism, not force. It draws rather than pursues. It invites rather than demands. It creates space for things to unfold naturally, rather than trying to make them happen. When you embody authentic feminine presence, something remarkable occurs. You stop needing to do anything to attract him, because your very being becomes attractive. You're not performing femininity. You're expressing the timeless feminine wisdom that has guided humanity for millennia. This creates a psychological resonance that bypasses his rational mind and speaks directly to his deeper knowing. The key is understanding that feminine power is not passive. It's actively receptive. Like the earth that doesn't chase the seed, but provides the perfect conditions for growth, you create an environment where connection can naturally flourish. This requires incredible strength, self-knowledge, and emotional mastery. If you're finding value in understanding your true feminine power, make sure you're subscribed to our channel with notifications turned on. We dive deep into these transformative psychological insights every week, helping you unlock your authentic magnetism. Authentic feminine presence involves several key elements: emotional fluidity, intuitive knowing, cyclical wisdom, and the ability to hold paradox. When you can flow with your emotions rather than suppressing them, you give him permission to feel deeply. When you trust your intuition and act from inner knowing, you inspire him to access his own wisdom. When you honor your natural cycles and rhythms, you teach him about the beauty of impermanence and renewal. Perhaps most importantly, when you can hold paradox, being both strong and vulnerable, independent and connected, mysterious and transparent, you embody the complexity that the masculine psyche finds endlessly fascinating. You become a living reminder that life is not meant to be reduced to simple formulas, but experienced in all its rich contradiction. This is why this approach works regardless of his other options. You're not trying to be better than other women. You're operating from a completely different paradigm. While others might be competing in the realm of external attributes, you're resonating from the archetypal level where true attraction is born. Understanding these psychological principles is only the beginning. The real transformation happens when you begin to consciously activate these archetypal energies within yourself. This isn't about becoming someone different. It's about remembering who you truly are beneath the layers of social conditioning and fear-based patterns. The first step is reconnecting with your emotional truth. Most women have been taught to manage, control, or apologize for their emotions. But your emotional nature is actually your greatest strength. Emotions are the language of the soul, the way your deepest wisdom communicates with you. When you can feel deeply and express authentically without being overwhelmed by your emotions, you embody one of the most attractive qualities possible: emotional mastery. This doesn't mean being dramatic or unstable. True emotional mastery means you can feel the full spectrum of human experience while remaining centered in your own power. You can be moved by beauty, stirred by injustice, excited by possibility, and saddened by loss, all while maintaining your essential sense of self. This emotional fluidity is mesmerizing to the masculine psyche. The second step involves developing your intuitive intelligence. Your intuition is not mystical nonsense. It's your unconscious mind processing vast amounts of information and presenting you with insights that your rational mind hasn't yet reached. When you learn to trust and act on your intuitive knowing, you develop an almost supernatural ability to understand people and situations at a deeper level. This intuitive wisdom allows you to see past his surface presentation to who he really is and who he's capable of becoming. You can sense his hidden fears, his unexpressed dreams, his secret longings. This creates an immediate sense of being truly seen and understood that most men have never experienced. The third step is embracing your cyclical nature. Unlike the linear masculine approach to life, feminine energy moves in cycles, expanding and contracting, creating and releasing, engaging and withdrawing. When you honor these natural rhythms instead of fighting them, you become fascinating in your unpredictability while remaining trustworthy in your consistency. This means sometimes you're the vibrant social butterfly, and sometimes you're the quiet, mysterious observer. Sometimes you're playfully available, and sometimes you're focused on your own projects and growth. This natural variability keeps him intrigued because he never quite knows which version of you he'll encounter. Yet he always knows he'll encounter the authentic you. The final step is developing what Jung called holding the tension of opposites. This means you can simultaneously embody seemingly contradictory qualities without trying to resolve the paradox. You can be both independent and intimate, both confident and vulnerable, both grounded and spontaneous. We've journeyed through the depths of Jungian psychology to understand why some women become absolutely irresistible while others remain overlooked. Despite having every external advantage, the secret isn't in changing yourself to become what you think men want. It's in becoming so authentically yourself that you naturally embody the archetypal feminine that speaks to the deepest layers of masculine psychology. When you integrate these principles, something magical happens. You stop trying to attract and start naturally magnetizing. You stop competing with other women because you're operating from your own unique archetypal expression. You stop worrying about whether he'll choose you because you become the kind of woman who chooses herself first, and that self-selection is irresistibly attractive. This transformation doesn't happen overnight, and it's not always easy. It requires courage to feel deeply in a world that often rewards emotional numbness. It takes wisdom to trust your intuition when everyone else is demanding logical explanations. It demands strength to honor your natural rhythms in a culture that values constant productivity. And it requires profound self-acceptance to embody paradox when the world prefers simple categories. But when you commit to this path of authentic feminine development, you discover something extraordinary. You don't just become more attractive to men, you become more attractive to life itself. Opportunities begin to flow more easily. Your creativity expands. Your relationships deepen. Your sense of purpose clarifies. This is because you're no longer fighting against your own nature, but aligning with the archetypal forces that have shaped human experience for millennia. The man who is meant for you will recognize this authentic archetypal presence immediately. It won't matter how many other options he has, because you're not offering yourself as an option. You're embodying a possibility. You're showing him what it feels like to be in the presence of integrated feminine wisdom. And once he's experienced that, everything else feels incomplete. Remember, this isn't about manipulation or strategy. It's about becoming who you were always meant to be. The archetypal feminine doesn't need to chase, convince, or prove herself. She simply is, and her being is so full, so rich, so authentically expressed that it creates its own gravitational field. Your work now is to begin this integration process. Start paying attention to your emotional truth and expressing it appropriately. Begin trusting your intuitive insights and acting on them. Honor your natural cycles instead of fighting them. Practice holding paradox without needing to resolve it into neat, logical packages. As you embark on this journey of becoming your most authentic self, remember that you're not just transforming your love life. You're reclaiming your archetypal birthright as a woman. You're stepping into the lineage of the great feminine wisdom that has guided humanity since the beginning of time. And in doing so, you become not just irresistible to him, but irreplaceable in the grand tapestry of human experience.